Hello, and welcome to Convinced Catholicism, a place for all things Catholic. Today I have the Ancient Faith Psalter. This is a soft faux leather paperback. It is the Psalms laid out in the monastic tradition in the Eastern Church. So this is an Eastern Orthodox book, and it's done by Ancient Faith Publishing, which is, I guess you could say, I don't know what patriarchy or autocephalous church it is. I would imagine it's kind of a catch-all, and it's meant to really attract people who are perhaps interested in Orthodoxy or trying to convert or have converted to Orthodoxy. I would imagine that many of the Orthodox people who are in America are converts after all, right? So this is a very simple, straightforward book to use. Before we get into the insides of this, let's take a look here at the dimensions. Right, so 4.5 by 7 by 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so something that you could, put on your nightstand, something that you could put on your coffee table, something that you could put in your purse or your backpack. But really, you're only going to use this twice a day, okay? Or you could break it up, but it's designed to be used twice a day. You're supposed to get through all 150 Psalms in, basically a week, okay? As you can see here, it starts with Saturday Vespers, which will commemorate Sunday Matins, Monday, you'll notice A, B, A, B, A, B. I don't know why they divided it that way. Perhaps they wanted you to do it in 2 weeks, but if you've seen my video on the Psalter for Prayer, or the Pocket Psalter for Prayer, or Prayer Book Psalter, or whatever it's called, it's blue, it's by Jordanville. That's the same concept here. It's Psalms divided into kathismas, so on and so forth, right? So quite simply, and the Psalms are laid out in the order that you are supposed to pray them. So no flipping back and forth. So Sunday Vespers, Psalm 1, Psalm 2, so on and so forth. So this would be done Saturday evening in commemoration for Sunday. And then, but there are stacies, right? So in theory, you could divide this throughout the day even more, right? It's a very straightforward book. And I like how the text is laid out. It's very clean. My wife, this is actually her book. She uses this on a pretty regular basis. And she has preferences with translation. She's one of those who is not a fan of these and thous, but she likes an elevated translation at the same time. And I would say that this is a very good translation. Okay, this is an excellent translation. And let's just take for example, we'll do a few Psalms. We'll do some highlights here. Psalm 50, for example, is very common. See, Psalm 50, in this book it's 51 and 50, Masoretic Septuagint. Have mercy on me, O God, according to your steadfast love, according to your abundant mercy, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. For I know my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against you only have I sinned and done that which is evil in your sight, so that you are justified in your sentence and blameless in your judgment, so on and so forth, right? So we have a good idea of what the Psalms sound like, right? They sound liturgical. They don't sound overly flowery or overly literal, that you could tell that they were translated with care. It says here translated by monks of the Orthodox Church, which I find cool. Usually the Orthodox Church, they do find priests or monks to do their translations for them. And I appreciate the fact that there's an anonymity to the uh, translation. You know, the monks are meant to, I guess you could say, do God's work. You know, don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. Right, kind of stay anonymous in your work. Right. So, for those of you who may not know, the way that this is laid out is there are going to be different kathismas. So it's going to be kathisma 1, stasis 1, or stasis 1. And then you can see that's the first 3 psalms. Stasis 2, excuse me, stasis 3. There's always going to be 3 stasis. And then all of a sudden you get to the second kathisma. So how it works is that you pray 2 kathismas in the morning, 1 kathisma in the evening. Now, you might want to do this on a 2-week cycle. You might want to break up the stases as different hours of the day. It's all up to you, really. This is the most simple prayer rule that the Orthodox, for liturgical, a divine office, if you will. This is the most simple divine office style, I guess you could say, that the Eastern Church has, right? So I would really encourage, if someone wants to really understand the Psalms, but they are worried about the fluff, and I use the word fluff lightly, I don't actually mean this. If they're too worried about the antiphons and the collects and the scripture readings and the different office hours and when to pray them and the different glorias and so on and so forth, then this is a great, or if you're Eastern, right, the different, when to pray the certain parts of different psalms and when to pray the what tone to pray, so on and so forth. This is a great book for you. I highly recommend this. This is even more simple than the Psalter for Prayer, the blue version by Jordanville, because there are not additional prayers to this. This is just the Psalms, right? It's just the Psalms, which is nice, right? Couple of things I will say to knock it. First of all, it would be nice if the numbers were labeled. Okay. The other two is that the binding is not brilliant. You can see that it's kind of separating here. It's just glued, but that's not any issue with the quality of the content of the book, however, right? This was meant to be affordable, right? This is available on Amazon. This is meant to be widely available, mass-produced, mass-purchased, and that's, a good thing, right? You can't really say every day that a mass-produced item is a good thing to have, but this is one of those, right? And like I mentioned already, the Orthodox Church shares a lot of the same tenets and doctrine and theology as the Catholic Church. This is just the Psalms. A Catholic would not really be doing harm to their theological persuasion or to their canonical status in the church if they were to pray from this book, right? The Psalms are the Psalms are the Psalms. And you could say, oh, well, what about the translation? Well, the Psalm translations aren't going to do much besides favor one prophecy of Christ over the other. I once heard it said that Christ is in the Psalms because he's in the Psalms because it's a prophecy that was fulfilled by him, and he's in the Psalms because he was praying them. You're not going to do anything but do yourself good if you are praying the Psalms. And if you wanted to pray all of them, right, because not all the divine offices of Christendom have all 150, this is a great way to do it. The only thing I would say is that sometimes I find it hard to do the entire thing just for the one day, right? So, I emphasize again, if you wanted to start off, maybe pray a kathisma a day, or even just a stasis or stasis a day, right? That would be my recommendation. But thank you very much. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And the link to this will be in the description below. Thank you very much, and God bless.